but just keep trying, and you'll catch a break. Sometimes the best idea is a giant mistake. Ain't that a pisser?
Welcome back to Stogie Geeks, episode 266, volume 2. I'm your host, Joe Hozempa. We have live in the studio David Weinberg, Carmine DeMeo. They're from Uphill Productions. They have a fascinating show project that's happening right here in good old Rhode Island. If you're just tuning in, you missed the actors who have an incredible resume for this. What we were just listening to on our way in was the soundtrack for your upcoming show that's happening. David, why don't you introduce who that was? I recognize the voice because I'm native Rhode Island. However, the Stogie Geek listener might not.
So the song was written by Peter Fish from the Peter Fish Group, 6-time Emmy winner. And he wrote the song, he wrote the lyrics, and we hired Steve Smith from Steve Smith and the Nakeds, who has been in Rhode Island playing for probably over 40 years. And he was a perfect specimen for that particular song for us, just to give us that East Coast flair.
Absolutely. If you want to hear the song in its entirety, I will post it after the show. wiki.stogiegeeks.com. Click on episode 266, and you'll also have the names and resumes of the elaborate cast of characters that we have for this episode. Joining in on our second segment, we have Becki Laws, who is the manager at Hill & Harbor.
Hi, guys.
Becki, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. In the first segment, we had the opportunity to interview Clay and SJ, who SJ is the writer, and Clay is one of the actors within the show. That is happening right smack in the middle of your cigar shop that you manage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how did you get involved other than I manage it? I have the keys to let him in.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of early mornings with these guys. However, how it all started was actually before I even started the cigar bar. Dave was one of my regulars, and we were friends, and he's heard all the crazy stories. I've been bartending and in the bar industry for over 15 years at this point now. So I've experienced a lot of stuff, and I've worked in a bunch of different bars. And just even the bar itself, it's just, we have insanity happen sometimes. But it's always good. It's always fun. It's nothing bad. It's just always something that you can laugh at. And they were sitting around one day, and we always made jokes like, oh, man, we should make like a TV show. We should have a film crew here. And it was just brainstorming one day, just sitting there, and they were like, Becki, throw some ideas. And we were talking stories about stuff that has happened there, or even like some customers that are really interesting. And we just ended up brainstorming and just did it. And when they said we're going to do it, I was like, well, whatever you need from me, I have plenty of material. I have over a decade of it. So we decided to do that. And then with the whole thing, I said, as long as you keep people like, we have to change names or scenarios just to keep people safe from things, like, because some of the stuff can be like, a little embarrassing, but I mean, it's a good time. That's what a good laugh is about. So making fun of each other.
Yeah. That's awesome. What's it like being a manager there?
Well, it's good. I love it. My job is very rewarding and fulfilling. I get to have a lot of fun with these guys all day long. I get to smoke stogies and sling really good booze and put together a lot of fun events, and it's a good time. I mean, our cigar bar there is a lot different. That was my aim going into it, to make it different from any other cigar bar that is in Rhode Island. Which one of the main goals was the fact that a lot of them aren't female friendly. So, I mean, they'll tell you on a given Saturday night, I implemented music on the weekends. So women love it, and it's very women friendly. And I wanted to cover a whole class of people, not just like cater to one general customer. I wanted to make sure that everyone that goes in there, whether they're an avid cigar smoker or an amateur, they felt comfortable, and even like price wise, to make sure that everyone was accommodated for. I wanted it to be a place that everyone felt comfortable to go into.
It's a smart move. You know, we've interviewed here a boatload of cigar managers all across the country, and so we're at the end of this segment, you and I are gonna have a little dialogue going back and forth. I've always said that, you know, the retail cigar shop has its challenges.
Absolutely.
Even if it's outside of Rhode Island. And from a business perspective, you always got to be cutting edge because you do compete against online, but developing a relationship with your local tobacconist can hold its weight in spades for sure. And also, when it comes to entertainment, you know, buy 3 get 1 doesn't work.
No.
And it doesn't work anymore.
And doesn't work for everybody either.
So you know, you as the manager have to be pioneeringly creative.
Absolutely.
In order to keep people revisiting the shop and then having to do that. So with that being said, you and I are going to talk a little bit about that afterwards. Because, you know, I can't have a manager come on set and at least not have that conversation. Because the live entertainment factor here in the Providence Metro, or just so you know, from the Stogie Geeks listener, the Providence Metro circumferences all of Rhode Island and Massachusetts and Connecticut. And I want to spend some time talking about that because I've often said that, you know, shutting off the TVs and playing some music, you know, stops people talking about politics, sex, and religion.
Yeah, which you shouldn't talk about in a bar anyway. It's a no-win on that.
Being in the industry for 22 years, I've often never talked about politics or religion, but now I have to include sex in that, you know, because people, you know, whatever you want to do, swing from chandeliers, that's your business.
We can't talk about sex and cigars, bars.
I just don't think that, you know, it's needed. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, whatever the fancy is not whatever the person sitting next to you. And you know, in politics, at the end of the day, we're either going to agree, but pretty much where people end up disagreeing.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
I have rules. Like, it's funny. I tell all the girls I have 3 rules. You can't talk about religion, politics, or has to do with sex.
You can say it.
Abortion.
Yeah, sure.
Because those are 3 heated topics that never go well, and people have their strong beliefs about it. And not for nothing, to be honest, like on social media, people hit that up every day and put it out there. And, you know, everyone's kind of sick of hearing it anyway. Yeah. Everyone's forgetting to have a good time.
Right.
And realize to, like, relax and enjoy people. And I think the whole thing that needs to be understood, which is nice of a cigar culture, is that everyone has a commonality. And in cigar culture, you have it off the rip. It's smoking cigars and being able to be in that. But on top of it, I feel like with everything that's going on in the world and whatever, social media and in bars, like, it needs to be left at the door. You know, the first thing that people got to remember is that we're all human beings and we got to have a good time. And people are forgetting to have a good time. And that's what I want to implement at the lounge. Yeah,
and we're going to continue this conversation. But people do forget to have a good time. And a cigar lounge, anyone, is like the last bastion of hope, in my opinion, for society.
We're the Riveters.
You know, because that's where great ideas form. And that's where lifetime friendships you can meet.
Absolutely.
And stories are plentiful.
Yes.
For sure. So you and I will continue that segment because, like I said, I think it's a fascinating segment to include live entertainment at a cigar lounge, and I want to see how that's working for you.
Okay.
But now we have David and Carmine, both executive producers of this show that you've come up with, and we've already spoken about the idea, but I want to take some time and talk about your roles and get into a little bit of plot for the listener so that the Stogie Geeks listener, as well as the other listeners who you share it through your networks, can have an idea as to what to expect from the show. Who's up?
You want me to start?
Well, yeah, I don't know if we can talk.
I think we can.
You're not supposed to talk about sex. So we can.
I got a lot of
Go right ahead.
So I'll give you a short synopsis of the story itself. So, cigar bar owner dies in a very precarious way in the beginning of the show. Becki has probably have to do with that, and you can probably get that part of the story from Becki.
Are we allowed to talk about it, or is it a secret?
I don't. I think. No, I think it's okay.
Okay.
I think it's okay.
Too far.
It's all right.
Just squeeze her arm and just say, okay, you've had enough. Next subject. And
No,
that's fine.
it's okay. So, cigar bar owner dies precarious way, and he has an estranged daughter who he hasn't talking to for probably 10, 15 years. She lives out in L.A. Her name is Jo.
Jill?
Jo.
Okay.
Josephine. So
Gotcha.
we call her Jo.
Yep.
She runs a DJ booth in a nightclub in L.A., and she finds out about her dad's death, and she has to make a decision whether or not to come back to Rhode Island.
And deal with the affairs.
And
Yep.
deal with everything. So it takes her a little bit, and she finally agrees to come back. And when she does come back, she meets all the zany characters that we've created in the bar. Once, she starts to fall in love with all these zany characters, and they start to fall in love with her. And she decides to stay for a bit. And from that point on, the story kind of evolves, and I don't want to give a lot of it away,
Yeah, sure.
but it's really a story about life, what happens during life, what things you have to deal with, and how you deal with them. And the whole basis is a very funny story, a lot of regular stories that come out of the cigar bar, and goes from there.
Have you chosen a character for Joe yet?
I'm
sorry. Have you chosen an actor for Joe?
We kind of have an actor in mind right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to be in the show, Becki?
I am. I have a part in killing the owner, so
That's
what I was saying. Am I allowed to talk about it or not?
Sure.
Because they want to keep it quiet.
Gotcha. No,
at first,
that's enough said.
Because it's
We're done.
funny.
That's fine. I get it. I get it.
She has a way of killing the client.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is it at least going to be shown?
It'll be shown.
Yes.
So
A lot-
Some action.
A lot of action and a lot will be shown.
It'll be a good scene.
Maybe Boondock Saint style. Just saying.
There you go.
Gotta have rope, right?
I actually have that as my St. Patrick's shirt that I wore the other day. Boondock Saints,
Ah,
yeah, I love that show.
We were talking about that on the first segment.
Yeah, it's great.
It's
great.
It's amazing, and it's so funny how that's local.
Yeah.
And when I speak to friends around, other than the Northeast, they're like, "What?" I'm like, I'm telling you, like, amazing. Like, it's.
I'm
crazy.
originally from Delaware, and I know about it when it first came out. I was like 15 years old, I think. I was very young.
Yeah.
And I've been about it ever since.
Yeah.
When did that movie come out? How old is it?
I don't know. It
had to have been like 15.
yeah,
I'm 34.
Yeah, no, it had to be at least 12 years ago. Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
For sure. And I remember when it first came out, I was like, oh my god, like, oh,
Great film.
it's just, and there's so many quirks in it and stuff like that.
What do you think of this? What do you think of the second one?
Like
that's how I
like
felt.
everything else, it's tough.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan.
It's very tough to do a sequel as a consumer perspective. I guess the only light that I could shed on the subject, because obviously I'm not in that type of the biz, right? I'm my space is more in the live stuff and hosting. But if you're gonna do a second or a sequel of a movie or a show, character development has to be important. And what's just popping into my head when you talk about two movies, now they're not in any random order of my top favorites or anything like that, but if you want to talk about like great sequels, in my opinion, who's focused on character development, American Pie 2. Right?
Agreed.
Like,
Terminator 2.
right, because so now we have 3, right? No, because American Pie 2, American Pie had its shock value with the culture and the pie and all of that stuff, right? And
Why? What happened in the pie scene?
Oh, come on. You know.
a lot of us, you know, people can associate with having a dad like all the other characters,
Right.
having a friend like Stifler.
Yep.
You know, I
have plenty.
my middle name's Alando. I have a lot of friends like Stifler, right? You know, but American Pie 2, I thought really did a good job of developing for character development. So
Yeah.
it really did a great sequel, I thought. Another one that came to mind, obviously Terminator 2. Another one
That's what
that
I
came
just
to
said,
mind, that was yours. Mine was The Mummy 2, or The Mummy
Oh, yeah.
Returns.
Okay.
Because you got to learn a little bit about, you know, now that, what is it, O'Connell's married to the whatever her name was.
Yeah.
And then you had you know, a character development series in there. They since then had married, had a kid. The kid was involved, so it really brought in a lot of character development.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
that was like one of the biggest things with this too, which is really cool, is that the people that work in the bar, including me, and them being there on a daily basis here or there, you know, that was really important when they were developing the characters for the show, was that we wanted to make sure that it was authentic. Like, even with the writing, like, they would show me the writing and I'd be like, no, this person would not say it like this. It would not be delivered like this. The way that this person would retort to this would not be like this, because I'm behind the bar. I see it. You know what I mean? I know. After doing it for so long or dealing with people every day on a daily basis, you know what they're going to say in a retort to something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's a lot of fun about this whole thing, this whole project, is that they're trying to do it as authentic as possible. And they even like run the script by me, and I'm like, no, they wouldn't retort with this, they'd retort with that. And then they go back to the writer, and like the writer has done an amazing job. Like, when I finally saw like the final, there have been like a lot of revised ones.
Sure.
And which is cool that they let me be a huge part of that, because a lot of the characters they built around actual people that come into that bar. So it was fun to go through all that. But that's the cool thing about it, is that this whole thing is very authentic. Like, all of the stories, even like some of them came from me, and that's how like I came into play with it. Or the other bartenders, or things we've seen or done, or whatever, you know. It's just a mishmash of it. And he had a great time with it, the writer, like laughing at all the stories, but he did an exceptional job of actually implementing them all together and making it all cohesive. When I finally read the final script, which is probably about an hour and a half long,
It's about an hour.
yeah. Excellent. Like, I read through it and I was like, this is great, because we would give him input of like what route they were looking to do, because they were kind of like, I knew what they wanted to do, but they weren't able to voice it. So like, I had him, like, we did a lot of study, like watching things, or, you know, having him watch shows, and I'm like, it should be like this with this, because this is how we are.
Right.
So it's come out really well.
Becki has been extremely instrumental in you know, helping us with the characters, and it's been great.
Well, one of the things from an observation standpoint, from a business model, I'm sitting here, and through this series of episode 266 of Stogie Geeks, you're telling the story for the listener, but you're also elaborating how, you know, which is a tier for great leadership, is to understand what each one does well and let them grow and let them all pool in for the project. You know,
Yeah,
which,
everybody
you know,
has a piece in this project, and we listen to everybody, and that's how it's been successful.
And I think
We've taken advice from everyone. We talked, earlier, whether it's family, friends, however we're doing it, we're putting it all together. And, we talk about Becki helping us with just the ideas and the stories we put together. Dave went on earlier thanking the ownership of the club. But Saturday mornings when we're there filming, Chris and Colby show up with all the gear, and we're standing there with coffee or donuts, and we're trying to come through the door. Becki's the one who's dragging herself out of bed to open the place up with a set of keys, first thing in the morning. Without her, we're not getting in. So she's there to let us in, and God bless her.
She's
Sometimes
half the effort there.
Without her, we'd be in jail because we have to break in.
right.
I'm
Well,
sure that can
you
be
almost had the
arranged,
fire
but,
department
it
that
is- it is Rhode Island.
Crossing my fingers.
Oh, no.
So, Carmine, how are you mixed up in all of this? All the attention's been on everybody but you, so we have to get to you.
No, I'm involved in it all.
I want Carmine to explain some of the characters.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Well, I was going there, but I didn't want to
Okay.
jump into that. But
Okay.
Well,
if you
it's-
want to, go for it.
It's teamwork, and some of the characters are real life people that we are there. Some are people that we had to make up. The ownership we had to make up. The gentleman who passes on, we made up. Dave had the idea of giving him my name in the story, so he runs with my name, and that was somebody that is not there every day. There's not an owner like that in the establishment every day, but he's quite the character. He lived, as Dave mentioned earlier, he lives the crazy life, wild life. He does some things, whether it's gambling or gets involved in different things, and that's why he's got a crowd that follows him. But he wasn't the best business person in the world, so that tells part of the story there with the way he lived his life. He didn't manage his books properly and do everything well. His son tried to help out and do some things, and it didn't work out well for his son. You met Clay, who was going to play Tommy, and he ended up, he comes home in the story, but he's been away for a while. But once he comes home, after getting himself in trouble, he can't own the bar. Once you got yourself in trouble with the law, you can't have a liquor license. So that's tied into it. And the kid's sister comes home, and there's a lot of resentment there with her and her dad. And when she comes home, we'll have Carmine come back into the story with some flashbacks. And if I miss something, please correct me. But
no, you're doing good.
If she'll be looking back on Carmine and what happened, and there's resentment there from her growing up as a little girl. She hung around the club as a little girl, and that's how everybody knows her when she comes home.
Right.
She hung around, but also when kids hang around, they see a lot of things, and they pick up on things. They're sponge. They pick up on it all. So she picks up on it. She knows, and there's some bitter feelings there towards Dad, and one of the reasons why she took off to the West Coast. But now she comes home, and she cares about her brother. She cares about these cast of characters all at the bar, the guys that sit there who, you got Wayne in the place, you got different people that come in and out, and, the kid Moot who comes in, who's a gambler and always in trouble, and she sees all these people, and again, it was her family growing up. They see her, they're happy to have her there, and she's got a choice. She's torn. Do I let this place go, or do I stick around, and do I run this place for my brother and support it? And do I do that?
I think if you're looking for, obviously with movies, people, the audience looks for something that they can attach themselves to, right?
Yep.
So the more creative, and you can certainly chime in on my lingo, right? But the more creative you are of grabbing the owner's daughter's feelings of having to deal with her father's affairs, of him passing, how he passed, and then having to deal with the cast of characters. If you go through her balance and elaborate that there, right? Now it's an hour and 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 4-hour episode if you ever hung out with me, right?
We have enough material to make.
We want to be able to shoot a pilot, have a pilot done, and we want to have enough for whether it's 2, 3, 4 episodes, so there's other episodes. The ultimate goal with this is we want to take it, we want it to take off, and go somewhere, and we're passionate enough and we feel that's going to happen. But we don't want to just have one idea and somebody says, okay, what's next?
Sure.
We want to be able to have more, and we do. We have more that's there as a crew, and we've worked on that. And we talked earlier, having Chris and Colby there, having Becki chime in, my daughters chimed in on stuff. We've had other people we sat down and we talked to that have helped us out with things. And you have to get that and get all different perspectives with this, because Dave and I, when we look at it one way, we have to look at it, but we're two older guys. We're looking at it, and we're looking at the world through our set of eyes. And a couple of things we said, these two looked at us and go, that ain't going to work. You guys are out of your mind. No, it don't work that way. You got to go this way. And SJ out in California, he said to us a couple times, no, you got to look at it this way. Well, he's talking about it from the West Coast end. As much as we want it to be an East Coast show, he's giving us a different perspective. So you got to have everybody in the team involved. And, I say it all the time, there's more than one way to get to Boston.
Yeah.
I don't have all the right ideas. You got to listen to other people and take everything and put it together. And I think we've done very, very well with that.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Yeah.
So the business perspective, right? You launched a production company. It's called Uphill Productions, right? You can go to uphillproductions.com, check them out. You want to do a series of different shows there.
Correct.
What's your time frame of starting? Finishing isn't a whole nother story, sure. But what's your are you ready to start the filming aspect of it, or?
Right now we're in negotiations with a couple of different directors.
Okay.
Once that is completed, then we can move on to the pre-production and filming. Right now, I think our estimate would be filming in July.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, the editing after that, and we're hoping to be ready for fourth quarter of this year. So probably more September.
Yep.
For completion.
Nice. What's platform? Have you ever thought about where? So once you have an edited piece,
Netflix is our ultimate goal.
That's like the 100%. Like that would be ultimate goal,
Right.
as Dave said. But we have looked at other platforms. We know that Netflix is obviously a difficult avenue to pursue.
sure.
We've looked at other avenues. As Chris had mentioned to us previously, he just came back from South by Southwest in Texas, and he heard about a few new film festivals. So we're looking at avenues of possibly like film festivals we could possibly submit this pilot into, and get an audience like looking at. We're also thinking about possibly submitting this on Amazon, and maybe getting this if not on the Amazon Prime like video, just maybe something that people can go and download themselves or check out, and so we're looking at a couple different routes. We don't really know yet per se, but we're open to whatever is the best opportunity for us at the time. But I think at the current moment we're just hoping to get the word out there, and whatever avenue comes first is what we hope to pursue. So
Yeah, if you read articles on it, the last article I read was that Amazon put more money aside in 2018 to buy productions than any other company out there.
Yeah.
They put a major focus on it. So you're looking at with the Amazon, what they've done with the Fire Stick. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you've got all these different things out there, these different angles to go to. Don't want to sound come across the wrong way, but hey, we're in this for money. It's a business. We're enjoying it while we do it. We're having a lot of fun. If you watch the little clip that we did on why we're shooting this, that we have out there, in the end, it has all the bloopers, and you'll see how much fun we're having.
Absolutely.
You'll see all the bloopers. We're having a blast shooting it.
I think bloopers were the best part.
Yeah.
I think
what I
we
said.
just do a show on bloopers.
Yeah.
Right.
We'd love to make money, but to say, it'd be great if we could say, Netflix is waiting for us. They're going to cut us a check, but it's not the case. It's a real business world. We're going to have to really market it and go after it.
Yeah.
Hit it hard.
Yeah, that's a whole nother world, but
Yeah.
you guys will figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
You guys will figure it out for sure.
Well, I think the money aspect comes into play, where it's more or less about the film quality and the actors and the time that it takes to produce it and all that. I think that if anything, your guys' passion behind it is not about the money. It's about an idea that you had, and you're like, this is a really cool idea, and let's do it. So I think, some people like in this industry are about like, oh, I'm going to put something out that's marketable to everybody to make money off of it, which a lot of times, that's, how many good movies have been out? I'm not trying to trash the industry, but nothing's been great out. So, and that's all because it's a moneymaker. So I feel like what you guys are doing with trying to keep it Rhode Island and East Coast flair and all that, is not necessarily going to be something that's going to be everyone's interest, but I think that it's going to be something that people that aren't exposed to it are going to really appreciate it, and they're going to have good laughs at it. And I like the fact that your guys' passion behind this, it's like, you're putting yourselves out there, your own necks to make this happen.
Right.
And it's not even about the money so much as the money aspect is just to get it to go up and going and get it going and to say that you guys accomplished what your idea was, which is really cool.
Yeah.
My mom had told me a long time ago, which anything that I do in business, or anything I do that I'm passionate about, she said, do what you're passionate about, do what you love, and the money will follow.
Yeah.
We're of course, yeah, we would love to make money on this, but we want to do this, and we want to do this project, so it's,
It's what you want. It's your baby.
To the best of our ability. We
Yeah.
want to do this project and have it come out really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've run across, like, Chris mentioned it earlier when he was on. We've run across the cast of characters. Some people have come along and, tried to do us harm, and we've moved on from that. We're beyond that. We're not looking to get involved in any of that. We want to have fun. We want it to be, a fun project, and we want to make something good. We don't have a lot of politics in it, as you talked about. We've tried to stay clearly away from that.
Yeah.
We don't want to go down the politic road.
I mean, not everything's politically correct in it,
No,
but I
it's
mean,
not.
that's what makes it fun, you know?
We're trying to make it
let's
real
get real.
life. We're trying to make it what, somebody's going to say, that would really happen in the real world.
Oh,
That's going to happen.
yeah.
We don't want it to be fictitious. We want it to come across, that it's, it's real life. We met, I think the only thing we've done with politics in there is we mentioned Cianci. In the script, we mentioned.
Which, how could you
Cianci's
not?
name.
Right, yeah, how
Or
could
you're in Rhode
you
Island.
know if you're in Rhode
doing
Island?
something on Rhode Island.
Let's talk Rhode Island. Yeah.
And we've definitely juggled with a few different current political happenings. Bringing on some questionable things that have happened in the past, and we thought it'd be funny, and we struggle with the idea of if what's the line between what would be funny to bring on the show in current politics and like what's crossing the line.
Sure.
And
I think you date yourself when you get into current politics with it. Like if you look at
do.
really good
Yeah.
sitcoms,
And-
there's
and-
nothing.
And not for nothing. There's a lot of garbage on networks.
Yeah.
That when they have like the daily synopsis. I'm not going to use the title, but the daily synopsis.
I know what
whatever.
you're talking
And
about.
it's so easy. and there's like 5 of them. And
Yeah.
it's so easy just to rag on current things because
Yeah.
not for nothing. Let's face it. Any politician. They can't get out of his or her own way.
I
That's
agree.
not why
It's-
we go to the
it's-
cigar club. though.
Right.
We
It's
don't
right.
go
That's
there.
the point.
When
Absolutely.
Dave and I met you at the cigar club, did we talk politics once?
No.
We sat there. We talked a little about the show. We talked about family.
Yeah.
We had a drink. We had a cigar.
Yeah.
We shot the shit back and forth, and it was like, hey, it was great. We look forward to doing the show. But we didn't get into any of that. And,
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a politician in the cigar club?
A couple.
Well, I mean, other ones, but not in ours.
You know what I do? You know what I do? Check, please. Especially in Rhode Island, there's like 48 of them. You know what I mean? Check, please. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You
On to
know?
the next.
Take us through the cast of characters.
To name everybody by name
That'd be a little difficult.
It's difficult to do.
Yeah.
We
There's a lot.
Yeah, we've kind of we've decided on this route that we come up with this pilot script, and we want to kind of bring on an official producer and director so that we can kind of talk to them about, all right, here are the characters, and here are the kind of the character developments we want, and from there we want to be able to cast who fits those roles the best.
Yeah.
And if we bring on actors before we really develop those characters, then we have to morph the script into who we've casted on.
Yep.
So I think the most important part is developing these characters we really think are going to make the show what we really want it to be. And then from there, find the people that fit that role perfectly.
Yeah.
And, so at this point, I think our most important part is making the script enjoyable, entertaining, making the characters people that, someone that wants to go back and watch episode after episode. And then from there, find the people that really fit that role perfectly.
Yeah. Especially in the cigar shop. Here on Stogie Geeks, we did an episode, probably 10, 15 episodes back, where we had stuff that drive us nuts in a cigar shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have like the one-upper, right?
Oh, God.
So I did the presidential traverse, right?
Yep.
And I've actually traversed all of the mountains in New Hampshire that are named after presidents. and we started from a parking lot, right? And then we actually
Great place to start.
climbed up Washington, Jefferson, Matt, blah, 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 and did it all. It was a 3-day extravaganza. We left the ground. It was 70 degrees. It was June 28th is when it started,
Okay.
right? And when we're up at top, it's 23 in hail.
Oh,
So you have to
gosh.
prepare. But you know, the guy sitting next to me at the shop, he climbed Mount Everest.
I've done it better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's always a guy that says he's done better than you.
You're just saying the one up.
He climbed Mount Everest with
one-upper.
like no oxygen, had no gloves, and like freaking, you know,
smoking a cigar.
Zip line down the
Did you
thing.
ever do Mount Adams?
Yeah, we were. That's one of them.
Right next door to Washington.
Yeah.
I remember doing that mountain.
Yeah.
That was.
And it
Oh,
was-
sure.
it was-
You one-upping
It
him?
was no.
Oh no,
Yes.
Adams is smaller than
We were just
Washington.
saying we don't like
you're
one-uppers
you're
here.
one downing.
I'm
him.
one downing.
You know, another thing is like the guy or gal who like puts their cigar out and like leaves it for the attendants.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like you can just put it in the bin or in the ashtray and we're done here. Like,
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna go out on its own.
Yep.
You
That's
know.
right.
You know, and oh my God, so I could only imagine like the cast of characters that you
Pet
have.
peeve of ours. And
Here we go.
Here's a pet peeve of ours. They come in, they go into the humidor, they get a cigar, they come out, take the
Oh,
cigar.
I hate it. I hate it.
Oh yeah.
They go over to the cutter that's on the bar after they put it there,
With
cut
their-
the cigar, and they put it. Who the hell wants to use that thing now?
I have cans and cans of Lysol for that reason. Like I'm on it. Like
I
I'm
like
like,
my own.
and I
I
scold
got my own
people.
cut. It's
My own
like,
cut.
it's like
My own
really,
cut.
where did you grow up? You put your lips all over it and you cut it on this.
Yeah.
It's like
It's-
we sit there and we watch them do it. We just go, oh, it's like,
It's
come on.
crazy.
Sometimes I call them out. I'm like, no one wants to make out with you that bad.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You're gonna leave your.
It's definitely crazy.
Want to tell him about the meatball guy?
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that's one of the stories, and it's one of the stories that we have in the script. And I don't know if it's going to stay in the first episode or move to the second episode at this time.
Mm-hmm.
But Becki does a great job when there's football on. Whenever the Patriots play, she brings in a buffet. And one of the guys would come in, and won't use a name, but the guy would come in and he'd go up to get his meatballs, and the Patriots game wouldn't be started yet, and he'd have a plate, and he'd have 6, 7 meatballs on it. He'd have one on the fork, and he's walking back to sit down at the table. Hasn't even bought a cigar yet, and he's going away at the meatballs. We look at each other and like, okay. They kick off. The game kicks off. Not even 2 minutes into the game, he's back up for a second plate of meatballs.
Yeah,
We got
we
the
do
meatball guy.
we do a complimentary
Got the
buffet
meatball guy.
during
Yeah.
Pats,
So
and they all come out. They
It's
all
supposed to be a
it's like,
complimentary buffet.
Yeah.
For
Everybody.
And this one guy
Yeah.
eats the whole tray of meatballs
You don't have
by
to worry
himself.
about that with me. I don't smoke and eat. Like obviously I smoke a lot of cigars, and but I won't I really I'll go to a cigar dinner and I'll eat and then I'll smoke.
And then you enjoy this.
Yeah.
Or I do not. Oh, that
Can't mix both.
Like there are people that do that, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like that drives me.
we have
so-
one coming up,
Yeah.
and like people were saying that they're like the smoke's too intense sometimes, and this and that. I'm like, well, you get a pack of cigars, you don't just smoke them all.
Yeah,
each
I
course.
know a couple.
You take them
people-
home with you.
I thought you were going with the meatball guy who has a drink and then leaves. It doesn't have the cigar.
Oh yeah, no, like
Yeah.
it's bad. One day we had like wings out, and the game hadn't even started, and he grabbed a whole thing of wings and took it to himself. I'm like, what are you doing?
Why didn't you leave the plate you took and just take the tray back to your
No,
table?
he did. He like literally did. He took one of the things one day. It was hysterical. But you have that. That's the thing. Like you'll run into when you're doing like a public service, whether it be just working in the public in general, you're always going to run into those people that have those social awkward quirks that they don't know that they're inappropriate, and
Yeah.
we find it funny. So they sit and they observe, so that's
You're
a
gonna
part
have
of
to
the show.
come back on the show.
Okay.
And we'll do a quirk thing.
I'm down with it.
I might get
I got a
might
ton.
get 2 different managers, so it'll be like me and then two you guys and
That'd
or
be
a guy and a
crazy.
girl
All
or whatever.
over it.
And
You gotta
then
get my
we'll go
humidor
back and
guy.
forth. We'll go back and
Get
forth.
Johnny here.
Yeah,
Get
John
Johnny
will have
here
a
with
few
it.
of them.
We'll go back and forth with that.
I'm totally with it.
So, business wise, for the cigar shop, getting to the cigar portion of Stogie Geeks, right?
Uh-oh.
We're
Stay
getting there.
tuned. I'm gonna blow through my sticks of the week. You're nothing less than a box split, so you definitely want to stay tuned for episode 266, volume 3. But I think business wise, genius move by the owner by allowing them. Great move. You guys are thankful,
Yeah.
but from a
Very.
marketing perspective, genius move by the owner from opening up the set of Hill and Harbor for you guys to produce the show. Great marketing. You also started some live entertainment there.
Oh yeah, I do a ton
So,
of different stuff. So
How has that been for you? Because probably 20 episodes, it might be 18 or something like that, but 20 episodes back, we were talking about, I alluded to the fact here on Stogie Geeks that the buy three, get one is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about what cigar shops have to do or cigar lounges have to do to stay competitive, right? And then geographically here, we always go into the Province Metro where it's very competitive, where Stogie Geeks listeners outside of the Province Metro might have one cigar shop in a 45-minute radius or a half-hour radius, where Rhode Island is a 45-minute radius.
There's one here,
wherever
there,
you go,
everywhere,
and there's over 42, and there's 7 coming.
Right,
You know, because here on Stogie Geeks, we always hear who's coming and doing that there. So, to my knowledge, you were the first to incorporate, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the live entertainment aspect of it, which I thought was good, because I remember the glory days. Now, me, musician, play guitar on stage with Duke Robillard twice. I remember the glory days. You can have cigars. I remember playing at the Call for my cousin's band. You can have a cigar on stage, like the glory days.
Yep.
Well, those are gone here in the state of Rhode Island. In fact, probably 48 other states.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that being said, how has that worked for you? Just incorporating the live entertainment.
So, speaking of that, it's worked out great. That speaking of glory days, I used to work in upstate New York where you could smoke in some of the bars. And one of the big things that I missed about I grew up in Delaware, I lived in upstate New York, and then I lived in D.C. area, Maryland side, before I moved here. And that was one of the things that I really missed was like live entertainment. I feel like in general, it was oversaturated in a lot of areas with DJs and all that BS. You know, it was college oriented. And when I first started bartending, you'd smoke in cigars. And I worked in places where actually a lot of politicians would come in and they had like the OTB and watching the horses smoking stogies. And I grew up bartending in that. And that's my glory days. And I felt like, because I grew up in that, like just like the little kid in the bar, I felt like it was one of those things that it was missing, and the guys that would come in and even females were missing that too. And I guess a lot of it has to do with the idea of me being like, we need live music. And I pick it all out. Like I go through, I deal with the bands, I book them all. And I think I do okay. I think you guys, they're pretty good, right?
She does very well.
We have one tonight for their thing tonight, actually. They're guest bartending tonight for the show, and we have a band playing tonight.
That's one thing that you do as well. Take us through the strategy. Hill and Harbor has, I don't know if it's monthly or every 6 months or however that works.
Whenever people want to do
right.
it.
But you have a guest bartender.
Yeah. So
to take us through that feature.
Okay, so the idea of it was,
and then tonight, where Dave and Carmine are going to be guest.
Yeah, they're going to be there. So it was an idea that I had. That was an idea, and we were flip flopping on like how to advertise. So I think of strange ways to advertise things and cool ways and cool things for like the customer to come in and like have fun and do things. And I wanted to get the community involved and give something back, while also building awareness of whether it be this type of like cancer or charity or whatever, and then also implementing people into the bar that have never been there before, would never even think to. Like we have an awesome exhaust system. Like a lot of people, like women go in there now, tons of them, because of the music, and they're like, oh, is it too smoky? And they come in there and they're like, no, it's great. And they love it. So it was one of those things where I came up with an idea, like how can I kill 2 birds with 1 stone, make it good for the community and make it good for the place. And it was that. So how the guest bartending works is that I will work personally with these guys. All of my tips that we make behind that bar donated. My time's totally donated towards it, and anyone can do it. I mean, and I feel like the best
Even
guest,
you, Joe.
even you, Joe, the best guest bartenders actually are not. I've had real bartenders back there with me, and they like OCD out. And I'm like, listen, just have fun with it. Like you're supposed to get your balls busted by your friends. It's supposed to be a good time. It's more fun when you don't know what you're doing. I'm here to overlook it. So I mean, it's totally free to do. People just pick a charity and we just go with it.
Why did you charge us to do it?
I didn't charge you anything. Get out of here.
If I was ever
that was all the mornings I came in early to open for you guys to film.
Right, I got it.
if I was ever a guest bartender, there'd be two choices: drink A or B.
Yep.
Right. And that's it. It'd be neat.
All right.
You know what I mean? There'd be
That's
no
all you gotta do.
No ice. No ice.
Because I
don't expect you to be sober.
You know, I try to get into the functionality thing. Yeah. What's your choice? Rum or whiskey?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or beer.
Because I'll tell you, I went. I went to a festival in Winston-Salem, and I mean, we're talking it's 70 bands in 3 days.
Cool.
In the Millennial Center, and if you ever had a chance to go to Millennial Center, it's the old townhouse. So you have 3 bands. They go on a 15-minute rotation. They play for 45 minutes each, but you can kind of piggyback and see them, and it really has some functionality.
Cool.
But upstairs, the main stage is the old courthouse, so they're playing in an old courthouse, right?
Nice.
It's a rockabilly themed music. You have custom
Love it.
car show.
I'm into all that.
It's amazing, right?
That's
but
me.
downstairs, they have the jail, so you actually have people playing guitar in jail.
That's
So,
awesome.
acoustics.
That's
Oh,
really
like
cool.
You want the
Folsom
jail.
Prison
Yeah.
style?
Yeah, it is.
nice.
That's great acoustics.
But here's the point: the menu, you had water, shot, or beer. That's
Love
it.
Perfect.
So everything was $1, right?
Oh, wow.
You know where this is going, right?
Yeah.
You can smoke because it's in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, right? The water was water. The shot was Jaeger. And the beer was Pabst. Blue Ribbon.
Nice.
Oh.
And,
There you
and
go.
you're talking
Love it.
like,
Yeah.
so you're like, yeah.
That's
and
me
everything's
in
$1,
college.
right?
That was me in high school and college.
And
That's
in
what I drank.
day
Right.
one, everything's formal. You can only have 2 at a time. So you're like 2, 2, 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, day 3, when they don't want to carry the beer out, they let you buy the 12-pack.
Nice.
So
Wow.
when you order,
I have 12 of those.
can I have 12 taps? You're like, yep. And they hand you ice cold the box.
There you go.
So you're carrying this box with this cigar.
Gold.
And it was just amazing. So
I love it.
I would mimic that. I would probably have a rockabilly band for sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
I have one in mind. Phenomenal musician, local guy, amazing. And
Who
we
is
should-
that?
We should. Well, we this episode. I mean,
Another.
I don't have word economy, so
Yeah.
I could tell you offset. But
Yeah.
I actually use them as my intro for my radio show.
Cool.
It's just guy shreds. But again, it's attracting a different crowd
Yeah.
for sure. But if you ever wanted to do like a custom car show type theme,
I've been wanting to.
banging over there, right?
All right. Yes, I've been wanting
there.
to.
So the live music has paid off for
Oh
you.
yeah, we're packed. I mean,
know?
you can't get a seat. You have to be in by 8 o'clock at night, and
Yeah.
the bands don't go on until like 9.
You know what I like about it?
You can't even get in.
You know what I like about it? Here on Stogie Geeks, as either the host or co-host, depending on who's here, I tell people how it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I like about it? Your Hill and Harbor is actually doing something, as opposed to sticking a girl with a pretty face behind the bar and saying, "Come smoke with me on Facebook. I'm
Thank
here
you.
till 1."
I
It's
hate
like,
that. I
really?
hate
Yeah.
that.
Like,
I hate
and
it.
it's
Doesn't work
it,
anymore.
it doesn't work.
No.
You got to be in the buy 3 get 1 doesn't work.
Nope.
So you and I are gonna have to schedule something.
All right, cool.
Within the future,
Yeah,
to have you in.
they get people that go out to dinner, and after dinner, the crowd,
Yeah.
you get 3 couples will show up,
Yeah.
they'll come in. It's standing room only. People come in there and
With music nights,
with
yeah.
music, and they're there, and
Yeah.
there's really not a dance floor. You'll get people dancing in there at times. As people start shaking it up, and
Yeah.
it's a crowd that.
Pull all the chairs to the side and everybody dances.
Well,
That's
In the
when
middle.
it's fun.
Yeah.
That's when it's fun.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
awesome.
people that you normally wouldn't see go there, but we talk about it all the time. When we're in there, because we're regulars, I'll say, "Dave, we're getting a new crowd in here. We really are. There's some new people," and he laughs because we call it our living room.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we
yeah.
say. This is our living room,
Yeah.
and there's new people coming in, and it's because of what they do there to attract the people to come in. They're getting a
Right.
different clientele rather than going to a place and you go in and it's the same group of guys sitting in the corner.
Yeah, it's never the same old over there.
Yeah.
Well, the Stogie Geeks listeners want to hear my sticks of the week. That's the 3rd segment. I want to invite all
fine.
you guys to just to stay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. We have a question from the audience. Go ahead.
How do you differentiate yourself from a cigar bar versus like you call yourself a cigar?
Interesting question. The question from our live audience outside is, how does Hill and Harbor separate the difference from a cigar bar to a what? What was it? What
A
was
cigar
it?
club.
A cigar club.
Okay. So, are you thinking about like members' rooms as club? Is that what you're thinking?
Like an underground, like you guys have concert music,
Yeah.
kind of like
Well, you have members there also.
Yeah, we
There's-
have
there's
members, but that was when they were building it, that was the biggest thing. Like, were they going to have a members room or what? So we went the route of wanting it to be more of like a social thing, like a social aspect where it's an experience. So I wanted to kind of have it be more like a bar that you could smoke in, because I felt like a lot of like what was going on in the general area of Rhode Island and how they were running their whole like social scene with cigars and stuff was that they were catering more towards members and lounging and all that. And what happens with that is that it becomes like almost like high school, like you're a real cool club and no one else is a part of it. And I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted it to be more like a social club versus, you know, the feel of like elitist, cliques and stuff. No. I mean, I feel like it's come into its own of being more like a bar that you can smoke in and go to smoke at, and everyone's social there. Like you have your guys that are in there every day and girls too. And you know,
people go there every day.
Oh, do you? I don't know you.
We just celebrated. We just celebrated St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Oh, it was packed.
We just celebrated St. Patrick's Day, and it sounds to me like Hill and Harbor is like how a traditional bar would be down in Ireland.
Yes.
Where commonplace people meeting.
Yeah.
All different types from blue collar, white collar.
Exactly. All different
people, mixed sexes, guys, gals, right? And from there. As opposed to, you know, if you just play some bagpipes on a jukebox and put a shamrock in front of your place, you're not really like a traditional Irish bar. You know?
Yeah, but
drives me nuts.
You cater to your members. As members there, you know, you do special things for us.
Oh,
you have members
absolutely.
dinners.
Oh, you guys,
you know, so you still have the club, you know, the feel there for what you do with the members.
For the members, yeah.
You know, we get some special treatment, but you do take care of the general public also. So it's not you've got a mix of both, and you balance that pretty well.
Yeah, and it's nice because people will call and they'll say, "Oh, you're in East Greenwich. Like, what's the attire?" I'm like, "You can come in. I mean, like I was saying, it's a cornucopia of classes there. Like you have military, you have billionaires, you have bar industry people. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be like a melting pot, and it's actually has come to that now finally after 2 years, and it's awesome. Like, I mean, it's good. Like, I don't want people to feel like they can go into a place and feel like they have to be a certain way. I just want people to be able to come in and just be themselves. And like even like amateurs, like amateur smokers, like a buddy of mine came in and he brought his mom in the other day, and she was so cute, and she was like, "This is so nice, no wonder that you like it here, so laid back." And she was kind of feeling insecure about like smoking a cigar, and I said, "Don't worry about it. I had my first time too." Everyone has their first time of, you know, so and
would you give her a Cuba Cuba?
No, she actually I did not actually. She was a bold lady. She went with a Padron Anniversary Series.
Whoa. Oh,
yeah,
she stepped up her game.
Right on it.
Right away.
Right out the
hats off to mom.
Right? Yeah.
That's awesome. During our next segment, we're gonna do the sticks of the week. I go through what I've been smoking. So I'm gonna have you chime in as to what you guys like to smoke you know, either inside the lounge, outside the lounge, and stuff like that. Cool. Sound good?
Awesome. Sounds great.
Anything else you want to add to Uphill?
I think we covered it.
Oh, you guys are guest bartending
check out our website.
Check out the website.
Come down and have a drink between 7 and 9.
.com, and if you're in the Providence metro area, go to Hill and Harbor tonight. They're doing a guest bartending episode with Carmine and Dave.
And
how many drinks on the menu? All of them?
All of them.
All of them.
Good luck with that.
Are you kidding me?
All of them.
We have Becki behind us. Don't worry about it.
What'd you say?
Good
Rum
luck
and
with
Coke?
that. When we come back, rum or whiskey. When we come back, sticks of the week. I have nothing less than a box split. You don't want to miss it. We're going to take a quick break. Come right back.